Cool, so we're back and we want to set up an automated system that can detect the inputs and find the correct path for them. And I don't want to make multiple copies of this POP network, so I want a way to automatically switch this on the fly, and then that will get updated based on the caching process. I'm going to create a DOP import and first import this result. POP object. Okay. And I'm going to say fetch geometry. Call this geometry. Okay, so now we have the data coming in. Cool. And I'm going to write this to disk. So I'm going to call this out sim cluster 1 / cluster dot geo.sc, and let's add the frame. Let's add 1. Let's add $frame for the frame. Cool. So we have 100 frames, and what I want to do is I want to make multiple copies of this and change this to 2. And when I hit render, I want the system to go and switch this automatically. So then I can submit all these onto the farm or whatever system you have, and it's gonna run the sim of the first one, then switch the system for the second input, and so on and so forth. So all we have to do is we need a way to control that. So let's create a float or an input where we can control that. I'm gonna create a new parameter into this interface. I want to add an extra control. So with this, I'm going to click this cog here and edit parameter interface. I'm going to drag and drop an integer. I'm going to call this as WT for switch. I'm going to call its label switch. Okay. I'm going to copy this and paste relative reference here. But I don't want to override the expression, so I'm going to paste that in. And if we middle click, you see with these backticks, it's going to resolve to the correct value. If we change that now, it's gonna change accordingly. Okay. The next thing I want is I want to be able to let's call this global. Let's call this G switch for global switch or global SWT. I want it to be short, and I want to link this name with that switch. So let's right click, paste relative here just to get the link to the expression, and I'm gonna paste, actually, you know what, let's just copy this and come in here and say right click, paste relative reference, so we have the full expression. I use this just to get the full syntax, and then I'm going to change this value to with that expression. I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's add an underscore. Now if we middle click, the path is going to resolve this automatically, but it's not doing that, so let's remove this, the backticks. That should do it. Let's try it one more time. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do to simplify this, I'm going to create a new attribute and call it integer as well. I'm going to call it the same thing as WT and call it switch, and this just to simplify things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this guy and come in here and paste relative reference into that. Okay, so both of them are linked, and now I can copy this and paste relative reference, and it's local. You see it's a shorter version of this, so it's easier to read and fix, and it should resolve. Yeah, so it's resolving. I think I copied the wrong path earlier. I think I copied this instead of this, but I think you guys got the idea. So these two, this guy and this guy, they're just linked. This is referencing this, and then in this path I can link it directly. So let's do it one more time here. So the path is perfect. Cool. I'm gonna delete this, and now we're writing to number 1. But I want the system to automatically switch this input and also update the path. And the easiest way to do that is using these pre-render scripts. So I'm gonna right click and say Python shell, and don't get worried with this, it's actually very, very simple. And I'm gonna drag and drop here, this guy, and if I hit enter, it's gonna give me access to this node. So let's do it again. That's the parameter. I'm gonna say set parentheses and then the number. And by doing this, you can see it changed now. 1, 0. Okay, cool. So let's see how much clusters we have. We have currently should have one. Yeah, we have 6 clusters. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Cool. So it starts at 0. We have 6 clusters. And with this expression, what we can do is we can set it here in the pre-render script as a Python script. Let's copy this. Let's paste it here. Paste value. Let's do that. And now when I hit render, it's going to first execute this guy, which is going to change this value, and that will result in changing this and this path. Okay, so let me delete this. So this is gonna write the first one. Let's call this cluster 1. Cluster output 1. Let's copy this. I'm gonna simply change this to 1. And let's do it one more time. And change this to 2. And we need to do it 3 more times for all the nodes. So let's hit save to disk. It's saving. Let's cancel, and let's hit save to disk again. Cancel, and let's hit save to disk again. And see, every time we hit a render, it's changing, and now it's left at 2. Let's create a file node and copy this path. So if I middle click, it's going to resolve it. I'm going to copy the resolved path, and let's click here and load in the full frame range. So this is our first sim. Okay, we can copy this and change this to 0, this to 0, and now we're reading the first one. Okay, we can also change the file read to have an extra controller. I'm gonna call this same thing, SWT switch, hit apply, and then we can copy this path here with the expression that links that and paste it. So now I can say read 1 and the value is set to 0. Cool. So change this to 1, change this to 2, merge all of them, hit play. Now we have all the paths working. And we have an automated system now. It's independent from it's independent from how much inputs we have or anything. We can change all these guys, and we only have one system to work with, and we're clustering it so we can push the limit of these guys as much as we want, and the memory should stay very, very low. And we also have the cool paths that we can use with this. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.